Hey guys and gals, today's video is going to be about the coming tyranny in Virginia and gun confiscation, and I'm going to be your host, the Homestead Prepper. That face you see there, a lot of you recognize that as the governor of Virginia, Northam. Let's get a little better look at him. Okay, well that's the governor of Virginia right there. I mean, obviously, the guy's a racist. Okay, now how he got elected there, I have no idea. I can guarantee you guys something, that you will not ever see a picture of me in blackface or standing next to a KKK member. Okay, you're just not going to see it. So the Northam is a racist. He obviously is a baby killer. He has no problem with infanticide, killing babies after they're already born, and he is trying to be a tyrant. So I mean, how would you like to have that on your resume? The guy is going to sign, he's already vowed to sign some legislation and make legal gun ownership illegal and make gun owners criminals. So guys, when that happens, people of Virginia and the United States, you're going to have two clear choices. Okay, you can either comply or not. Okay, however, whichever way you go, there's going to be some consequences. That's a decision you have to make. You go along with the tyranny or not. I'm going to show you some people who went along with tyranny and gave up their guns, and we'll just take a little look at that. Okay, guys, here's some people who gave up their rights and gave up their guns because they thought they were going to be safe, and they were put on cattle cars, and they were told they were going to be disinfected or something, and they went in these rooms and they were gassed, and we all know that. And I think this is Takao, if I'm pronouncing that properly. These people, decided to go along with the law and be law-abiding citizens, and this is what's going to happen to the people in Virginia if you go along with Mr. Blackface, racist, baby killer, tyrant, Northam. I'm kind of suspecting that the people are not going to go along with this. All right, well, this is a very disturbing image of children at Auschwitz. Their parents made some really bad decisions. They were, of course, talked into, that gun control, and they were, of course, talked into going in these camps, and, they were rounded up, and then their children had to pay the ultimate price here because of their parents' bad decisions. Now, I know that the American gun owner is not going to let this happen to our children. So I encourage everybody to let these images sink in of your actions will have ramifications for what you do and for what you don't do. So just let that sink in. Okay, some of you might recognize and remember Idi Amin from the early 70s like I do. And he sold his people on, safety, and, they should turn in their guns. And as a result of being disarmed willfully, he was able to murder 300,000 Christians in Uganda. So, guys, that's where it goes. I can almost hear out there in YouTube land some people saying, well, that can't happen here in America. Well, yes, it can. It's happened dozens of times before, with all kinds of tyrants. This is the end game. Also, you people who choose to lay down your arms, do you really think they're going to stop at the Second Amendment? Once they get rid of the Second Amendment, they're going to go for your First Amendment. They're going to get rid of your right of free speech. They're going to get rid of your freedom of religion. As a matter of fact, I can even see the Democrats, confiscating Bibles or outlawing the Bible, because that is an enemy to them. Because they don't want you worshiping God. They want you ultimately to worship them. That's where this is going, guys. So, again, I implore you to not turn in your guns. I also want to say that once they get rid of the Second Amendment, the First Amendment, they're going to get rid of all the amendments, and especially the 13th Amendment, which that's the one that outlaws slavery. And what we're going to become, if we choose to go along with their plans, is we will be slaves to the government. Now, people in the government are supposed to work for us. We're not supposed to be their slaves. And but this, like I said, this is their end game, guys. So I'm probably out there preaching to the choir, but it needs to be said. Okay, well, here's one of the maps I found of the Virginia Second Amendment sanctuary counties, and it looks to me like most of Virginia is going to turn into a gun sanctuary, and I think the Democrats who are going to enact this illegal legislation that they're trying to circumvent the highest law of the land, the Constitution, are going to have big problems. Some of you probably out there are questioning whether the National Guard is going to get involved with this thing in Virginia, because they've had, I can't think of the guy's name, said that the National Guard should be called up to, get in a law enforcement role, even though that's totally illegal, and that's posse comitatus. Is the National Guard going to kill law-abiding Americans and sheriffs who don't comply and don't give up their rights? Are the sheriffs going to kill National Guard people and Americans who are going against the law and not, going to give up their rights? Well, guys, the answer to that is yes and no. There will be a percentage of the National Guard that's going to do what they're told. Now, I firmly believe that the majority of the National Guard is not going to violate their oath to the Constitution and do gun confiscation. Just like the sheriffs of Virginia, some of them are going to go along with this little gun thing and they're going to get a real power grab out of it, but the majority of the sheriffs are not going to go along with it. So I stand with the military and law enforcement, pro-Constitution military and law enforcement. My prediction is, like I said, the majority of law enforcement and the National Guard are going to defend the Constitution and the rights of its citizens. However, they're going to be those ones that are going to do what they're told. Exactly how many, I don't really know. So if the Democrats of Virginia don't get an overwhelming support for their communist agenda, they're probably going to be asking neighboring states for help. States that hate guns, and try and get them to show up and help them achieve victory over the Second Amendment. If that fails, and it will fail, which one way or the other, the Northam might hire some subcontractors, Hessians, mercenaries, government contractors, whatever you want to call them, to do their dirty work. These subcontractors, they might have blue helmets, they might be ordinary plainclothes people employed by George Soros, like he did at 2016 presidential campaigns for multiple candidates. They could incite riots, they could be foreign mercenaries. Guys, I don't really know what's going to happen with this, but if the people of Virginia stand strong, this is going to be squashed real quickly. And the National Guard might be called in to keep the peace, but that's not what the Dems want, So, and you can also count on the mainstream media coming to the party and painting gun owners as the most vile and evil people on the planet. Count on outright lies and half-truths. There's an old saying out there, don't believe anything you hear and only half of what you see. So, guys, no matter what you hear coming out of Virginia, you need to vet that information, because more likely if it's MSNBC or ABC or something like that, it's going to be a lie. So the mainstream media is an enemy of the people and liars, so watch out. But guys, ultimately, I think if enough patriots get together, that these Democratic leaders are going to be arrested, and also the Democratic collaborators are going to be arrested, and I think they're going to get a speedy trial. So that's my predictions, guys. Let me know what you think. And this is the Homestead Prepper.
Attorney General, although you think that you will be able to bully us into compliance by falsely labeling us felons, may I remind you and every oath taker of the oath you swore. You are public servants and we are your employers, with a moral duty and obligation to refuse and fight tyranny. Let us not forget that the people who hid Anne Frank were breaking the law, and the people who killed her were following it. Thank you.